This is part 1 on photosynthesis. When we're looking at the energy that is flowing through an ecosystem, it all starts with plants or algae in the water. Let's reflect on a couple terms that you're going to have to know, which is going to be heterotroph and autotrophs. When we're looking at a heterotroph means that they are obtaining energy from eating food, and that's going to encompass animals, including humans. When we're looking at plants or algae, that's going to be considered autotrophs, and they're able to take sunlight to make their own food. All photosynthesis is going to occur in the chloroplast, and the chloroplast is going to be this little organelle with the yellow disc inside. The chloroplast has these little disc-like things that are stacked up. It almost looks like stacks of pancakes or stacks of pennies. Each one of them is going to have a system inside of them where sunlight can strike each one of them and to create a lot of energy and a lot of food. Each one of those little yellow discs is called a thylakoid. This is some microscopes video that I have taken from a couple years ago when I was looking at the Eladia underneath the leaves in the microscopes. And in this video you can see that the chloroplasts are streaming, and so they are actively moving. They're moving actively, trying to capture as much sunlight as possible. I will attach this link in the slides for you to see also. This is another video of chloroplast streaming, and it's the same thing, just a little bit better imaging. Now let's talk about how this process works. When we're looking at photosynthesis and how plants are making their own food, it's not necessarily that they're making something that they're going to actually consume, but they're actually feeding the mitochondria. So let's look at the big picture. When we look at a plant, we know that plants have to have sunlight and they have to have water, but they also have to have carbon dioxide. So these on the left are going to be the reactants. These are the things that are going into photosynthesis or into the plant that is needed by the plant. On the right, in red, is going to be the things that are being produced. Oxygen is going to be given off as a waste, and glucose is going to be the type of carbohydrate that is going to make its own food. Let's talk about carbon dioxide and oxygen. Humans cannot consume carbon dioxide. It is going to be a waste product that we have to get rid of. It's going to be very beneficial for plants. They take in the carbon dioxide, but they also give off the oxygen. That is their waste product. They don't need it, and so they're going to give that off. And that's where we are benefiting from that atmospheric cycle of carbon dioxide and oxygen. The photosynthesis equation is going to be here at the very bottom, but let's start at the top. We start with carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide in the molecular form is going to be CO2. Plants also have to have water, which is going to be H2O. Sunlight is going to be placed above the yield symbol. Sunlight is not going to be represented in a molecular structure, but it is important because this is what is going to convert it from reactants into making the products. The glucose, which is a carbohydrate, is going to be the C6H12O6, and oxygen in the molecular structure is going to be O2. This middle equation is the chemical equation of everything that is needed for photosynthesis, but it's not balanced. The bottom structure, the bottom equation, is going to be a balanced equation. So it's 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water, the glucose, and 6 molecules of oxygen for it to be balanced. I like this image, and I put this in your notes as well. It does show the fact of it being carbon dioxide as a gas and water as a liquid, Sunlight is going to be shown here as energy. The glucose is going to be the food source in the molecular, and oxygen is going to be the gas. What is needed for photosynthesis to work is going to be CO2, sunlight, and water. What is being produced is the oxygen and glucose in the form of C6H12O6. The CO2 is going to be coming from heterotrophs. When people breathe them out, or animals are breathing them out through their process of metabolism. It can also be coming from the burning of fossil fuels and biomass. H2O is going to be the water, and sunlight is not a molecule, but it's also going to work as energy, so it needs to be included in the equation. The products or outputs are just going to be oxygen and the glucose. This is going to be the primary food source, and this is going to be the food for the mitochondria. We're going to pause here and come back to this in the next video lecture.